Back off with the times where Genshin Impact's best DPS were Hu Tao, Raiden, Ayaka, and many who can bring you nostalgia. But not only that, but today the power creep is not only getting more intense every day. Not only was NATLAN the nation and is the nation of power creep, but if I tell you that it are out of this top 6 DPSs like Navia, Chlorind, or even such beloved characters. For people as they might be, as Al-Hytham himself might be, today you're going to see Genshin Impact's current top 6 DPs. But it could be called Genshin Impact's top power creep. Let's see the top 6 carries of the entire game right now, remembering that Hoyover, he's been serious, he's put the batteries on with the power creep and they're going to keep coming out. More powerful carries than these, so this is going to change quite a bit in fact, but at first I'd give you a little bonus track where Navia isn't in the top 6. But yes, in the top 10, or Chlorind could enter no to the top 6, but yes to the top 10. And Raiden with C3 and full gun crazy? Although many people have it because it's Alcantara, and it's very old. Maybe I could also come in here wildly, but it won't get into this video that's top 6. So leave a good like, a good ulti of Bennett, subscribe, leave a good comment. With Gauri, thank you for enjoying and watching the video and the channel. Thank you for all the affection and support. It costs you nothing. It is totally free, recommends, positions, and helps a lot to all this we're doing, so thank you for your free-to-play support, and I'll give you back yours. Like, and I'll see you in Genshin Impact's top 6 right now. Comparisons, the tier list, or explain that something in Genshin is better than anything else. After 4 years of emotional bonding, of a lot of people who throw a lot of money and only, he wants to defend what he threw money at because if it's the opposite of his decision, they think, is attacking your financial decision or your emotional link to the financial decision. And a lot like I say, fandoms that only reasserts things about that fandom of that character. Anything you say in Genshin Impact isn't gonna please people and it's okay. He just gives, and is giving lots to talk about, and besides, it's 4 stars and you can choose. The top 6 is gaming, currently with the arrival of Siddeley, with the improvement of melts, with the possibility of melting all the damn blows, and with the possibility that no boss. You can withstand more than 1 rotation in your optimal equipment, which is not even possible. Test a complete rotation of the equipment in optimal and quiet conditions that I will speak to. 5 stars AC, 0 versus 5 stars AC2 because sometimes this top can change. Gaming is Genshin Impact's 6th best DPS, with its melt team alongside Siddeley, Xianyun and Bennett, but also as DPS and in all DPS of this DPS top of the game. We're also going to talk about its strongest variant, talking only about minimal investment, that is. Diona's Melted Gaming, a character that existed 4 years ago in Genshin Rosaria, character that exists 3.5 years ago in Genshin and Bennett, character that exists since the day 1 from Genshin Impact. Here gaming you can play Cone and Bennett to Cone and Rosaria to Chera with Instructor. If you want to and you have a team that will blow up any room in the abyss. Gaming is the 6th best. It's weird there are 2 NATLAN DPS, and this top 5 and top 4 would change if we're talking about. The top 4 and 5 are Mualani and Kinish. Well, if we talk about both to Chera with a team. Normal, i.e. without having all 5 stars and so on, then Mualani has higher performance. And it would be the 4th best DPS in the game today. But it has a contra and it's still a character that does not work 100% his mechanics. I explain, Mualani still has bugs. The Ultim continues to fly there, although supposedly fixed. lies and hear the editors of B. The streams will be putting some clips where the ulti keeps doing weird things, and still the whole mechanic of crossing the enemies and marking them with a little fish and then tossing the still is also bug, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes the extra torpedo you pull out to do more. Extra damage to the bite area so that you affect everyone with the bite. Sometimes it doesn't jump against the enemies when you play against several enemies. Nothing happens, and in the best scenario of Mualani, where also in a room of the abyss you can repeat this room, and in the end it will go well, Mualani. Achero can be the 4th, and is the 4th best PS of Genshin and Kinich the 5th. You can exchange, and I'm talking about the equipment at maximum or minimum investment. Kinich Kon and Arma versus Mualani Kon and Arma, talking about playing Mavuika, Chilonen, Furina, and these characters so broken with the Kinich and Mualani teams, then Kinich takes them out quite a bit. Advantage to Mualani, since even Mualani has very large nukes, but in the rotation of Kinich. Mavuika with Bennett's buffo and Furina's ulti in Kinich's best in slot. Mavuika. You can get more than 500,000 with the ulti, and Kinich with the first ball you can get a million quietly if we're talking about Kon and Arma well built. And with C2, I don't even tell you anymore. And that makes the room disappear a little bit sooner than Mualani has the potential to. Throw his ulti, considering that A, the ulti Mualani is played, B, Mualani's ulti until that you don't put on the noctambulism mode by activating the elemental, you don't consume points with which you're ulting. In principle, if the strips at the beginning of the rotation, the ulti does not have 40% of the set of obsidian of probability with which the ulti usually fails, more critical if not the strips. At the end of the rotation and normal, to make it optimal without counting this obsidian set theme, is that you start throwing away the ulti of Mualani and then you get into shark mode, sharpened mode too. Make the 3 bites then with constellations. Kinich is the 4th best DPS currently of 4. Genshin Impact now optimal maximum performance equipment is in the case of Mualani. Furina, that there is also a rotation where in the end you must change to Furina mode healing. And not little animals that paste, but at first the rotation if to activate all the loads. Chilonen and Mavuika today, the best in slot of Mualani is not only Mavuika but Mavuika with A. Furina's Bufo puts in an ulti that also bursts many times the room before entering. With Mualani, the only thing with less damage because you don't go with Bennett, as for example on the team of Kinich, and a team with minimal investment from Mualani. That works perfectly for the Abyss, is to put for example Kachina that activates the parchment set instead of Chilonen. You can put perfectly here to a Xiangling with Favonius and Instructor set because you just want me to apply. And then there last you can put less the Traveler that you already know the Traveler, and when his ulti is Bully with Pyro explodes and disappears any inside here you can count to Nahida even. Though you say a Nahida of 5 stars already good, but it is an arch and all you have in your count, and you have an equal team of Mualani quite optimal to be able to burst with 2 4 stars with a Nahida to 0 and lots of super easy combinations. And in the case of Kinich, more of the same, you can play your optimal team, which is the Kinich Furina. Mavuika and Bennett, that makes absolutely no sense this team, because besides Furina out of the field, it's steaming over the burn and it doesn't make sense. It's crazy. You can also play the variant with Emily instead of Furina, and then add Bennett Minima at the end. It never stops being a 4-star who's going to give a burst to this amazing team, and you can play. Because an extra inside out there can be Collie the same with the Traveler. Don't play the Traveler because when the Pyro touches the Traveler's flower, explodes the flower, and then you no longer have anything of the Traveler inside, and Pyro is therefore also playing Xiangling with the set of memories of the Forest and Favonius. To power the team, or then play even a Toma or a Dehaya or anything that gives you more. Pyro to Kinich application to activate burn, and you also have a minimum investment equipment. Amazing, and now we're in major leagues. Genshin Impact's top 3 DPS are characters that you all know that they have an absolute pick with no sense, and that to this day it is strange. Whether people don't use it or don't have it in their accounts, leave me in the comments. I imagine you know. Which is the top 3 for you in your account? Which is the best armed character? And what most damage gets you? Because this shouldn't match the top 3 DPS of Genshin Impact 2. Which is the best is a Shizwine built there. No one was expected to say the Shizwine a Shizwine. Very well built DPS with a team made around it that can pass perfectly. or a ship that makes a couple of cannons to blow up the halls, but because you don't have any better built other equipment. But to anyone's surprise, the top 3 DPS is from Genshin Impact is Arlecchino, which is currently on the Arlecchino banner, has quite a few variants of equipment currently too. They're mainly the one we're going to call Ancient Arlecchino, who would be Arlecchino Fiorina Kazuha Bennett. This team gives us the Green Shadow and the Elemental Damage bonus, and Lanyan gives us the Green Shadow Thea, Dragon Hunter to Arlecchino and a shield, and gets very close to the contribution Kazuha can give. In this case is a 5 stars Kazuha and Lanyan a 4 stars, so imagine the contribution so big here from Lanyan, and then we have the new team that would be an Arlecchino Sitlali Fiorina. Shilonan or Arlecchino Sitlali Yelan Bennett. This explains why this combination of Yelan, Bennett or Fiorina Sitlali, and why she can't be Fiorina with Bennett, because of the application she has. Yelan a little bit superior to Fiorina, and is the combination of new team of Arlecchino little. I joke because it's also very close to that old team. And then if you want to talk about minima, well play perfectly a Bennett Lanyan Xingqiu Arlecchino, which is all 4 stars, and you can play Chero perfectly and good Arlecchino, i.e. Bennett Cone, and you have another barbaric team of Arlecchino and the top 2. Currently remember when many creators commented that Mabuka I could get over Novelet, and there were people saying nah, if Mabuka on the bike only does. Turns out how he's going to beat Novelet now. Mabuka beats Novelet, pretty much in his best team. If we talk about heating and constellations, but if we talk about Cheros, they're pretty much the same with Aero. The difference that Novelet has its own supporter damage that is easier to distribute among the enemies and has the peculiarity that many support as an argument. And it's true that our bread to Novelet can be broken down, but there would be a little discussion there. Effectively, to absolute ceilings, Mabuka is better equipment than Novelet, and is the top 1 and best DPS today, and Novelet would be the top 2. But if we talk only about Chero Mabuka in his Chero team, all about Mabuka, Citra and Xilonen Bennett and Novelet on their old Chero team from Novelet Fiorina, Kazuha Xilonen, are rather similar, only that, as I say, at the level of sustain, Novelet has a little more solidity on all if it is cone and how to distribute the damage in a higher and wider area. Novelet also, I'd win. That means Chero would be practically the same, but if we talked about whaling and people, that has a good chance of saving a lot. This doesn't mean being a whale, many of you. Well, many not little truth have the ability not to throw away every 160 protogemas, and you also have that saving capacity that allows you to then have what you would like, as I do. In my free-to-play account that criticizes me that if the C2 are not realistic, and I don't know what, but when it's called free-to-play, it's free-to-play really without ever having a bendy, without nothing ever in life and everything played on stream. There's what I want. There's C2 from Fiorina, C3 from Raiden Cone, Weapon of Mavuika, C2 of Xilonen Chero, of Xianyun Chero of Scaramouche, but with Faruzan Chick C2 that I have there from Jiang Hen also Chindes of Mika 6 of Mika Chicks of Sara that are dedicated supports that are 4 stars. Complicated to take Cone from Hutao Cone and Aqua from Yelan C2, from Kazuha, and I can continue because I have a lot on my free to play but less to criticize and more to worry about improving as a player for. Get what you want as free to play without projecting what you can't do, and the frustration in others, and above all in creators who, as we face here in front of people, it is easy to write us a mini comment. But considering all this, Genshin Impact's top 2 DPS ceiling level, it's Novelet and the top 1 Mavuika. But if you want to take into account the very small, and a new billet alone, that capacity of loneliness labism, then still as a consolation prize. For someone who still fails to accept it, you could give the consolation prize of why put number 1 in a situation too specific and taken very with clamps to new billet as top best carry of the game, and Mavuika second best carry of the game. Top teams, what I just told you. Teams a little more free to play for both of us. To finish the video for everything. Stop, so no one's complaining yet. Because still, even if there's a little bit of a person on social media, thanks to everything. The one who does give his support and does things right is a responsible, educated person, and with values. And notice people who show they have 5 neurons and 12 mental years on social networks letting go. You scoundrels. Well, the minimum teams of these two characters are, on the one hand, Neuvillette can play perfectly with Fischl Sucrose for electrocharged, and last, any other, something that will help you like a Beidou for more electrocharged shield mitigations, or I'll give you a solid defensive hold so you don't get cancelled. If this is Zero Neuvillette, and with Mavuika, Bennett in the end is a 4 stars, and instead of Citalali, you can play a double Creo, as well as gaming, for example with Rosaria Diona, or you can put Athena to activate it. The set of Pergamino and a Rosaria can be played there, considering that you have to play a little space, let's say for Rosaria to apply, or also this combination of Diona Chansei at least, you will always melt the ulti and the first load up. And this is already a lot of damage if you're playing with just 4 stars the Mavuika team. Little more. These are the top 6 current DPS of Genshin Impact. These are the top 6 teams A. Minimum and maximum, and keep in mind that all this will change, and I leave you this. Fina wink, I'm not the ugly one, but I think it's a little bit like it's going to evolve. They've already pulled out a 3rd carry power by saying to Tignari and Alhaitham of Dendro that it's in the top. They've already pulled out 2 very powerful Hydros, and I remember talking about that Moalani could outrun Neuvillette. In the end, it's not like that, but it's very powerful, and you have Moalani and Neuvillette, and previously existed since Tartaglia and Hayato, and also the same with a Pyro, Gaming, Arlequino, Mavuika, and all the rest of the Pyro carts I've been carrying before. I think the next item that's gonna have a carry that's likely to scare surprise. Chlorind improves Raiden, but not too much. Raiden remains exactly the same Raiden Simpson. The 2.1 that came out almost 3 years ago of Genshin Impact, and it is never late in any moment for them to suddenly take out a carry Electro that is positioned in this top 6, top 5 of Genshin Impact's best carries. So little more, leave a good like, a good ending, subscribe, leave comment, do the same. Thank you, enjoy very much. Take care of yourself, have a very good day, and bye.